Remote learning, take two. It's safe to say that remote learning doesn't come naturally for parents or children. This past spring, I went a little bit insane, but then I realized I wasn't alone. Hey everyone, my name is Tristan with Think Save Retire, where you'll learn not only how to survive, but thrive. Smack dab in the middle of March, my foster daughter came home for her last day of school. Last day of in-person school, that was. She was so excited, you know. Yay, I get to be homeschooled. Me, on the other hand, I'm one of those crazy positive people that are called optimists. And so for one fleeting moment, I thought, hey, this could be fun, right? I was already doing full-time remote work at home, and so I thought I could be an assistant teacher. Let's do this. That lasted 3 days. I wanted to pack her up, drop her off at the middle school, and speed away. If people didn't appreciate classroom teachers before, they're kind of godlike to me now. Unlike homeschooling, where parents are the main teachers that guide their children through their education, with distance learning, teachers are still involved. They're still the ones that provide the lesson plans, and they also do Zoom classes. Sounds great, until you realize that we parents are now in charge of our child actually participating and doing the work. This is way beyond homework, folks.
So I'm a mom hiding in her bedroom on the floor to talk to you about distance learning. So the hiding part should be a key indicator of how it's going. There might be a dog snoring underneath my bed right now. I have 3 school-aged children and 2 toddlers in my care right now. I have actually homeschooled my 15 and my 13-year-old through a district hybrid homeschool program, and I can absolutely tell you that distance learning is not homeschooling. So I think it's funny every time I hear that thrown out there. The perks with homeschooling is you can choose a lot of your own curriculum based off of your children's interests, and design a schedule that works for your family. The struggle that I am seeing with distance learning is there's not necessarily an available parent in many homes to execute the requirements of in front of your, for my kiddo, 8:30 in the morning in front of her iPad until 2:30 in the afternoon. Thankfully, I work from home and I'm the primary parent in the home, so this falls on my shoulders. But the things that are getting moved to the wayside are all of the things that I would take care of during the day while my children would be at school. I then have to do in the evening or multitask. So they're either not getting the best version of their education and they're not getting the best version of their parent because we're trying to wear too many hats. Zoom is great for presenting a lesson format, but there's a lot to be lost as far as 8-year-olds collaborating with their peers in a classroom, the social interaction, and the emotional intelligence developing opportunities that come from things like lunch and sharing a restroom and playing on the playground, passing school supplies around a desk, exploring books at the library. There's so many perks that come, especially the younger school-age kids that come from actually being in the classroom, that although we're trying to fill this gap the best that we can, distance learning doesn't quite do that. So this mom, not a super fan, but I understand that we are doing what we can with what we are given.
So if you're like, Tristan, I loved remote learning with my child, it was easy peasy, then you're one of those people that have a magical child that actually listen and do their work. Many of us envy you. My 6th grader started to throw 4-year-old tantrums because she didn't want to do any of the work. Not anything. It was like pushing an elephant through a hair scrunchie to try to get her to stay focused. In her mind, she was already on summer vacation. School was stupid, and she didn't need to do any of it. I realized that I had to get really creative. Unless I dressed up like a mad scientist to do her science experiments with her, or created fun math word problems using characters from, I don't know, Troll Hunters, The Dragon Prince, she wasn't having it.
I'm still not having it!
And moving on. What finally worked for us was establishing structure and a routine. We had to start right after breakfast at the same time every day. She'd finish her Cinnamon Toast Crunch and then learn about metamorphosis or personification. I'd give her 15-minute breaks, a half hour for lunch, and then for PE we would do, basketball, play soccer, ride bikes, or do some sprints. Her calendar was on the wall and every single day was mapped out for her. She knew exactly what she had to do. It was great. Pro parent tip. If it's written down, they can't argue that they didn't know about it. To get her to drop the attitude about schoolwork and all the whining, I created the ever-glorious treasure box. Aww. So if she did all of her schoolwork for the week without causing World War III, on Friday she could go to the treasure box and pick out a prize. Incentives work, my friends. During this past summer, folks from New York to Arizona waited on pins and needles to find out if their children were going back to school or not. Would they actually return back to school full time? Or would they do a hybrid model where it's, half at home, half at school? Or would we go back to remote learning? So lucky me, I thought this fall when I got that email saying that it would be 100% remote learning. Got together with some of my parent friends and we realized we had to master this time before we went all Jack Torrance from The Shining. I've had the great pleasure to compile wonderful tips and advice from some real parents to help us avoid the madness.
For me, it works to have pretty much like a normal school day schedule. If school is going to run 9 to 2, then the night before, make your schedule, have all of your classes and homework and lunchtime and some type of exercise block on your schedule, and then follow it. And I found that to be really effective. The first 3 days is always a little bit chaotic, your first 3 days of school. But after that, following the schedule, it really does help both the parent and the child, especially if the child is old enough to kind of read and follow the schedule themselves. And then, just relax and have fun. Sort out big deals from, little deals. Most of it really is a little deal. And just enjoy it. And I guess don't be afraid to every now and then call a timeout if things get frustrating, and take an ice cream break. I don't know.
Last but not least, we have Stephanie from California.
My name is Stephanie, and I live in the San Francisco Bay Area of Northern California. I have 2 boys, one in 5th grade and one in 2nd grade, who are both currently participating in distance learning. We've been doing this now for 3.5 weeks, and in our district, the distance learning is being taught by the actual teachers that would have taught them in the classroom, but over Zoom and using internet applications. Let me first say, I'm having a rather positive experience with distance learning. I can tell that my district and the teachers put a lot of effort into thinking about how to translate their teaching into a distance environment, and I think it's going well. I do also have to say that my kids were at an advantage. Both boys are very much into computers, technology, gaming, and so they were very proficient in using all the forms of technology. So before we started distance learning, the 2 of them could have gotten on a Zoom call, they could get on a website, they know how to use a keyboard and a mouse, and they would honestly prefer to be on the internet most of the time. I, as a mother, do not enjoy them constantly being in front of a screen. I do realize in this situation, we are going to be a little bit more screen heavy in the world at this time. Also with my 2nd grader, where it's a little harder to keep their attention, I've noticed the teachers puts them into individual breakout rooms with smaller groups continuously so that they can talk about their feelings and interact. So they're using the technology in a way that allows the kids to get a little more socialization in the day. My kids have noise canceling headphones on that kind of helps them immerse themselves in the classroom. I have set the expectations that this is school, and from 8:30 to 2:30, with the exception of the breaks, they're expected to be in the classroom. And so my kids know that that's my expectation as well as the school's expectations. So setting the expectations with my kids has been also very helpful. Having a quiet space where they can work and they're not distracted, but I can also come in and out to help facilitate has also been helpful. My husband and I both work full-time from home, so I do need the quiet time and I do expect them to step up and do their work. However, I am flexible with my work, so I can kind of keep an eye on what they're doing while I'm doing my work. So that's kind of a benefit. One of the things I'm really grateful for is that the teachers spend all the time and the energy, and the principals developing the curriculum, where if we were homeschooling, we would be responsible for that. So it takes a lot of that off of my plate and doesn't stress me out, because really I'm just here helping the teacher facilitate. She's still teaching. I don't have to do it. I'm just here to help my kid get through it. On the last note, I think that for me, the thing that has translated to be the most effective thing is maintaining a positive attitude. Me and my husband, we're pro distance learning. We aren't focused on the negative elements of it. The reality is that we've all been given a garbage sandwich, right? Who wants to distance teach? Nobody. But the reality is that's where we are. And we weren't comfortable sending our kid back, even though we didn't have a choice anyway. But we decided at the early part of summer that we were probably not going to send our kids back to school. And so we know that we have to deal with this. And so we tend to focus on the positive elements. The kids are safe and at home. They're being taught in a loving environment. We use every opportunity to get them in front of their friends, whether it's digitally or at a distance play group, so they don't feel isolated. But at the same time, they're in a safe, loving environment, which is what elementary school age kids need. And I think that kids really play off of the vibe of their parents. So if their parents are judging the situation, if their parents are stressed by the situation, if their parents, are like, we're gonna fail and it's gonna be awful, well, of course the kids are gonna have a catastrophic feeling towards this. If we just relax and say, we're all just gonna do the very best we can because we have absolutely no other choice, then I think we're taking the pressure off the kids. I think as long as everybody tries to breathe and take this all in stride, I think we can figure it out. Hopefully this has been helpful, and maybe I'll feel differently in 6 months, but let's hope not.
This fall, we signed up our little tiger to go to a daycare that had hired teachers for remote learning. So the teachers that they have at the daycare are right there focused on them, making sure that they turn in everything that needs to be turned in to their regular school. From being on time to Zoom meetings, to making sure the homework's getting done, making sure they complete assignments. It's great. There is only 2 kids per pod, which is really amazing. They take super precautions to the virus and everything going on. This includes daily temperature checks and extensive cleaning throughout the day. With my new work schedule, this was our only option. She had her first day yesterday, got to hold the cool sign, and she loved it. She was participating, and so my fingers are crossed that this is gonna happen the whole school year. Please share in the comments what's worked for you, what hasn't, and your horror stories. I especially want to hear those. Thanks so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And go ahead and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future tips. Have a great day, and good luck.